You know, this is an honor. This is so special. I'm so pleased to be here and to have all of you here too. Thank you for being here. So I always get to tell stories when I'm talking to you folks at the Coptics, because back at my church in Muskegon, I can't talk about myself incessantly. It looks egotistical, you see. But here, I can just go. And it takes a while to tell some of these experiences that I've had that I think really demonstrate the activity of the divine in our lives. So I'm pleased to tell you about this chapter in my life, which is about when I was asked to be the director of something called Catherine Meisel's Modeling Moppets Annual Bunny Benefit. That's not funny. Well, it all started with my daughter, Becky. She wanted to be in this organization that she heard about through her Girl Scout troop, her actually Brownie troop. She says, Mom, I want to be in the Modeling Moppets, but you have to do it. You have to join because it's mothers doing it. I'm going, but because these are women in Montgomery County, one of the richest counties in the country, that live in houses that have pools in the back and drive station wagons. Now it's SUVs, but that back then it was station wagons. And, they have husbands. And I didn't have a husband, and I had a $10 an hour job, and I lived in a rental house that was full of elder bugs, whatever. So, how that goes. So I thought, okay. So I join the organization. I go to the meetings once a month. And they say, you have to do certain things to, handle your responsibilities in this organization. We have a Christmas show every year. See, they did shows. They did fashion shows and talent that had some talent and modeling for the elderly people in the county, in the nursing homes and retirement centers. And they would go in, and this was a service organization, and the girls had to model a sporty outfit and a dressy outfit and do a performance, and the mothers were responsible for producing that, So it was a win-win, but the families and friends couldn't see the children perform, so they had a Christmas show and then this annual bunny benefit, which they sold tickets to in the spring. There were bunny costumes that had to be worn in at least one number, and so that was the agenda. And I sort of had a chip on my shoulder. I was not keen on being in this organization when they had a pool party every summer. I'm not going to no pool party with a bunch of women that have so much affluence, and I just, no, I'm not partying with them people. That's how I was. I can't believe. And the Christmas time, they had a Christmas show where you had to come to a workshop and cut out the antlers that the girls were going to wear, and they said we do it in committees. I said I don't work in committees. I work alone. And they just were so nice to me. They patted me on the head and said, "Okay, well, here's your little alone assignment. You go over there and whatever." Yeah. So they still didn't judge me even for being so shut down, I guess, because a couple years went by, and the director of the Bunny Benefit, Anna Mae Ellison, she had her own dance studio. She had to step down because she just got too old to do it. She said, it's just too much for me. I'm closing my dance studio, and I'm resigning from directing the show. Well, she did the choreography, she did the staging, she just ran the whole thing, and it was practically a whole lifestyle to do this. And it just so happened that I had a role in a community theater production of The Sound of Music. I was a nun in The Sound of Music. But I didn't even have a speaking part. I was just singing in the nuns' chorus. And so when they were looking for somebody to direct the bunny, they just said, well, you were in a play this summer. Will you do it? And I was like a deer in the headlights. I was terrified because just the thought of being successful at something that was something I would love so much was terrifying to me. And that was a big lesson, being afraid of success. I thought, wow, this is a really great chance to overcome fear of success when I don't really have a lot of it at stake yet. And then I realized this is a really great chance to learn about leadership. And the first thing I learned was these mothers, there were like hundreds of helping hands that would not let me fail because they're going, thank God we don't have to do this. Yeah. So we had our first meeting and they go, okay, Diane, what's the name of the show? What's the theme? I said, well, friendship is always nice. Okay, friendship. Now, what are they going to wear? Well, so everything I came up with, they just went off and did it and came back and gave me the next piece of agenda to resolve. And then I realized, man, I could really do something here. I could really create a marvelous experience. So I took it, I started to remember all my unity teachings, my metaphysical understandings that I had sort of forgotten about. And so we had 2 rehearsals. The first year, we always have 2 rehearsals. A tech rehearsal where you set up the lights and, the entrance and the exits, and then a run-through where you actually try the performances. And there's a lot of preparation before those big rehearsals in various people's homes and everything. But the Bunny Benefit director, my job was to line up the numbers, arrange them, and have a theme, and actually choreograph and produce group numbers of the different age groups. And it was just a creative lollapalooza for me. I just loved it. And so at the first rehearsal of the first show that I directed, I had my clipboard, and I had this idea that I thought was beautiful. I said, now, I only have one rule. No one is allowed to get hurt. Because if there's any tears, if there's any crying, if there's any bleeding, it will completely spoil my fun. And so, you're not allowed to get hurt. Not allowed to hurt yourself. Okay, let's start now. And in 7 years of directing that show, no one so much as broke a fingernail. That's the power of setting an intention. I mean, those kids were running around, all excited, in dark places they'd never been before, theater seats, that can bump you in the mouth. Nothing, no one ever had any problem. So now, the meetings, the membership meetings, once a month, were Robert's Rules of Orders, and everyone gave their committee reports. So each month, I would stand up and give a committee report because I was considered the chairperson of the Bunny Benefit Committee, and I'd just say, well, we got to have this rehearsal and these costumes and whatever. So when the show was finished, at the next meeting, I'm sorry, I didn't set this up. Wait a minute, I got to back up. So when we were creating the first show the first year, friendship was the theme. What was the finale going to be? And I said, well, how about that song, I Had the Time of My Life, from the movie Dirty Dancing? It would be a great salute to the audience. The girls come in, I had the time of my life, and I never felt this way before, and I owe it all to you. And then they all come on, in lines, and they bow to the audience, and it'd be a great uplifting finale. Yeah, okay. They said, well, what about all the romantic lines in it? I have a recording machine, I can edit those out. Okay, fine. So we had the show. And so at the next meeting where we had the committee reports, the president looks at me, she says, so, Bunny Benefit chairperson, do you have a report? I guess you don't. The show is over. I said, no, I don't have a report. And then it came to me. I said, wait a minute. Yes, I do. I have a report. I stood up and I said, I had the time of my life, and I never felt this way before, and I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. And we had a great long laugh together about it, and it was one of those moments of luminosity in life when things just come together in a beautiful, resonant way. And that would have been enough for me. I mean, that would have been like the book of Genesis ends with Joseph forgiving his brothers. That would have been enough for me for a Bible. But no, there's more. So in 1989, okay, the theme of the Bunny Benefit was world peace. because I had all this material, because my daughter had been to Russia with a show called Peace Child, and she brought stuff back, songs and stuff. And so the name of the show was Into the 90s, Hand in Hand, because it turned into 1990 that year. And so this one number I was really excited about was a song from Peace Child called Reach Out, and I want to tell you about it because I just really reached peaks of achievement that I didn't know I could do. So the number was a song called Reach Out, which was going to be sung by 5 girls that would be dressed in the same style dress but in different color, pastel, yellow, pink, lavender, green, blue. I think that's all. And they had to be this like a nice little sheaf at the waist, A-line, and then with a stole that went across their shoulders and hung down the back on one side. You know that how that looks. It's very somehow ceremonial, And so they were going to sing the song and do it in sign language too. They learned to do it in sign language. So it's like expressive on more than one level. Now, I don't know the sign language, but I'm going to sing the song for you because it's such a precious song. It goes, let's see. Reach out for a star, come out from where you are. Show me what you can do. Believe in me, I believe in you. Reach out, don't be afraid. Come on now, we'll find a way. There's a whole new world for us to see. There's a universe for you and me. Don't be shy, just be yourself. You are your greatest wealth. Reach out for a star. Come out from where you are. Show me what you can do. Believe in me. I believe in you. Now, at that time, thank you. Now, at that time, I had, accompaniment recorded on a cassette tape. And since that time, I've lost that cassette tape. Someday I hope to get that music back and bring it to the world, but this is all I have now is my memory of it. There was one time that I was disappointed in myself. We were the last year we were doing the show, and the theme was, there's no place like home, which is a metaphor for, there's no place like our true spiritual home. And the show was opening with the song Sentimental Journey. Gonna take a sentimental journey. Okay. And the girls were all modeling travel clothes and carrying a suitcase, and they were coming out from stage and going various directions in the audience for the opening number. And they started as a tableau on stage when the curtain opened. And I was walking behind the stage, checking a last look over everything. And I noticed this one little girl standing there, not little, she was junior high age, Ariella Rosen, and she looked particularly pale. But I was moving so fast, I didn't have a chance, so I just swept by it, but I did notice her paleness. And then I went up into the balcony and was sitting with somebody, and the pre-show music started, and then all of a sudden I hear a thud on the stage. And I looked at my friend, I said, "That's Ariella fainting." And it was. The poor girl, she pushed herself too hard, and her mother pushed her too, and she was just not well, and she fainted right there. So nothing bad happened to her. She went home. She had the flu. I went to see her the next day. But I wish I would have prevented that. I wish I would have taken care of her. There was one instance, and it was one of the most important lessons in leadership. And it was when we were rehearsing for the show, and a new little girl had joined. She was about 6, she was very, very young. The youngest you could be was 5. And her family had just moved to the area. And they were very highly educated people. The father was a professor, and the mother was also a professor of anthropology and an archaeologist. And it just so happened when it came time for us to have our serious run-through rehearsals, the mother was called away to an archaeological dig. And so she sent a nanny in her place to go with the girl. Now, there were written rules, policies, and procedures for how all this went along without any hitches. And one of the rules was that every child had to be accompanied at the rehearsal by her mother. The mothers couldn't send their child with some other mother that was their friend, or daddy, or the sister, older sister. No, it had to be the mother. So after the first rehearsal, maybe the second rehearsal, the mothers gathered me unto them and said, "We think that you should drop this little girl from the show because her mother did not follow the rules. She sent a nanny to the rehearsal, and that's not allowed. So she can't be in the show." That's what we tell you. That's what we say. We're the mothers, and that's what we say. So, I'm supposed to sort of go along with consensus and not make waves, and lead the group. As we'd always been worked by consensus, as you've heard. But I just couldn't live with that. So I stayed up very late that night trying to think, what can I do? So I wrote a letter to the founder. It's Catherine Meisel's Modeling Moppets. Catherine Meisel's a real-life person, and she's the director and founder of the organization. And I wrote a letter to her, and I said, well, now this situation has come up, and I want to remind you of the purpose of our organization, isn't it? To honor children and to lift them up. And how is that intention being upheld by this decision to let this little girl, not let her be in the show? Her mother could not avoid having, to go to an archaeological dig of all things. And the best option she had was to send a professional nanny with her daughter to do whatever it was that had to be done. And so I urge you to let this child be in the show. And so she did. She came to the next meeting, and she told the mothers, no, we're not dropping her from the show. Got it. And so we proceeded. And after the show ran, Catherine Meisel came up to me, and she gave me a thank you card, and she said, I just want to thank you for not letting me do something that I know I would have regretted. Now, since that time, I've had lots of training in leadership, and that's how you resolve a situation. You go to your core values, your mission, your vision, and you say, how are my actions measuring up to the intention, the vision, the mission, the core values? And you have to match them up. And then it doesn't become a personal thing of making somebody wrong or leaving them out. So after 7 years, I had to move on because when my daughter graduated from high school, I had to stop doing it. And whereas when I was asked to take it over, nobody wanted to do it. After I stopped doing it, everybody wanted to do it. It made it look like fun, and it was fun. It's the Tom Sawyer effect, I think. Is he the one that painted the fence white, or was it Huckleberry Finn? Okay, Tom Sawyer painting the fence white, making it look like fun, and everybody wanted to do it. And so, when I left, it became a job shared by 3 people as a team. And I think that was appropriate because I spent my 7 years, I spent just about my whole life figuring out what were the group numbers going to be, whose house were they going to rehearse at, what were the costumes going to be, how to get the material for all the costumes, how to line up the numbers, et cetera, on infinitum. But I realized that it was really good training for me for any kind of future leadership responsibility I wanted to have. So I tried my best. So I left them in good hands with the 3 people in the team. And now when I look back, here's what I see. If I had taken my life more seriously when I was young, I might have thought thusly. What I love most and what I'm good at is performance art, creating shows, creating an experience with emotional resonance. And I love working with children, so children's theater would be a good career goal for me. But I'd have to get so much training, I'd have to get all kinds of credentials, and then the competition to get those few jobs that exist would be daunting and very expensive to do all that. But here it fell right in my lap. An experience that fulfilled the deepest yearnings of my soul. I can only attribute it to the power of the heart. We're only beginning to scratch the surface of the heart's functions and capacities. It has a wisdom and intelligence that outranks the intellect. Yeah, here on that. Do you agree? Yes. And the heart will attract to you the highest levels of gratification if you will only allow it. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.